Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Divorce is the one thing that individuals truly wish to listen to. Michelle Obama discussed in a recent public appearance at the moment. She spoke up in a manner that no one else could. Was it confirmed or was it expected? Was it something more than denial? Shocked. For the first time, Michelle Obama talked candidly about the actual challenges underlying the rumors that allude to thestresses, the locations of rupture and the truth that she has long concealed. What did she disclose? And is this the only start of a much larger story? Let's learn about Michelle Obama's lack of one to avoid talking about the marriage's reality from an open perspective, stating that there were occasions when she couldn't tolerate Barack Obama's candid remarks promoting therapy, which she has long. She presented herself as someone who appreciates openness in interpersonal interactions. Therefore, when her latest podcast was released, my listeners were excited to hear her thoughts, ideas, particularly about the topic of divorce. The expectation wasn't misplaced in the Obama administration's IMO. Michelle of Higher Ground Media Company takes a seat with Craig, her older brother. Robinson will talk about partnerships in life and individual dilemmas punctuate the timing of. Nevertheless, this podcast is more intriguing divorce rumors regarding the for months. Obamas have been in the news, driven by news stories and speculative stories In Touch in August ran a dramatic cover story every week, implying that Michelle had been, Barack Obama was betrayed, and infatuated with Jennifer Aniston, an actress. The assertion was mostly rejected, but the Barack's whispers didn't end there. Seen by themselves at a number of prominent occasions, such as President, the funeral of Jimmy Carter, and a Washington, D.C. dinner, stokes more rumors. In her own words, Jennifer Aniston addressed the ridiculousness of the Jimmy Kimmel rumor, live laughing it off as completely false. But the Obamas have appeared to react in their own manner by publishing loving images and messages on social media to one another. Yet that the public is still curious and looking for, are there any signs of trouble in paradise? In my opinion, the circulating rumors appeared to be the ideal setting for Michelle to establish their chord straight, rather than the first two episodes highlight her relationship with Craig. Their early life experiences and more general conversations about relationships. Episode 1 is mostly devoted to their brother dynamic, while the second episode veers off course, understanding the characteristics of friendship that include Issa Rae, an actress and producer, while both Craig's divorce is mentioned in a few episodes, lack the nuance or passion that some. The audience anticipated the podcasts. According to the official description, a laid-back and truthful Michelle Obama addressing subjects like financial, planning and dating. However, the show has mostly remained in a safe area and staying away from anything. Perhaps this was revelatory or intimate. Michelle doesn't initially intend to feel compelled to respond to rumors or any marital difficulties in a public setting. However, right when you believe the podcast is taking precautions, when the newest episodes air some genuinely surprising discoveries prior to, we examine Michelle's actual words. Let's go back to when it all started. Her first encounter with Barack. Michelle Robinson wasn't searching for love when she initially, in summer 1989, I met Barack Obama. She was a young woman with ambition and energy. Lawyer at the esteemed Chicago law Austin's firm Sidley, as fate would have. It was a summer associate with promise, designated as her protégé, and his name was Barack Obama. Is a tall, gregarious, and he exuded confidence with ease. It was difficult to overlook, but for Michelle, their working relationship was simply. But Barack was that professional. He was immediately captivated and admired Michelle's strength, grace, and intelligence. In contrast, her concept of self was, office romances amongst skeptics were nasty, and she had no desire to participate. Barack, however, persisted, and his charm gradually began to weaken her. Doubts when he eventually persuaded, arranged for her to go on a date, making sure it was not to be forgotten, their first official. The excursion included a stop to the Art Chicago Institute, a prolonged stroll, and the film does the correct thing by. Like their love, Spike Lee was the date. The story was serious and deep, and excellent dialogue from that point on. Michelle's friendship got stronger, appreciated Barack's vision and keen insight of intent and his steadfast optimism. He was different from everyone she knew, ever crossed paths and quickly fell in love with. They were proposed by Barack, ever the romantic, to Michelle at a dinner in 1991 that began as a marriage-related argument. When dessert came, the ring that they got married on October 3, 1992, in a lovely wedding ceremony in Chicago, was an occasion to celebrate love, family, and the trip they were going to take jointly. Yet life would never be easy for the Obamas while Barack sought a political career. Michelle had to deal with the difficulty juggling her own career aspirations with theirs. Their love was put to the test as their family grew, through protracted political campaigns, demands, and individual sacrifices, but they continued to be each other's pillars, adding, there were constant rumors added to the tensions, and conspiracy theories, such as unfounded assertions regarding Michelle's identity, and backdrop rumors that the public has made about her personal life, including unfounded allegations regarding her sexual orientation and gender. More stress on their marriage. Furthermore, Michelle has publicly talked about their infertility issues, disclosing that she had IVF procedures to conceive their daughters. As of yet, despite everything, they maintained their, even in the spotlight, love proves. With time, a marriage can flourish. Mutual respect and communication. In 1998, they welcomed their children, Malia in 2001, as well as Sasha and their family, as their dedication to one grew. So did another, from a straightforward summer gathering to beyond their love, and the White House continues to be among the most motivational in contemporary history. Let's return to Michelle's podcast, in which she discloses unexpected facts on marriage, the challenges, and the brief moments before bed nobody discusses. One of the most funny and realistic information. Michelle discussed how she and Barack don't always agree on Michelle's bedtime. Sleep is precious, and nighttime is the ideal moment. The day she came clean about the knot. I'm going to lie on the Kylie Kelsey show. She enjoys slipping into clean bedding, sensing the bed's coldness and closing early. But Barack is always the night owl, is unable to comprehend her affection. My hubby makes fun of me for going to bed early. I asked her how early I could go to bed, remarked, laughing, but she also mentioned after the guests have left, she makes an example remaining up later in order to take in the company, but as soon as they depart, she also mentioned that she's prepared to retreat. Among her greatest annoyances is Barack's inability to be on time. You know, Barack, he had to get used to what? She disclosed that on time was for me. Michelle's punctuality indicates her complete prepared at the specified departure time for Barack. However, it meant beginning to look at the last minute for his glasses. Hey, a 3 departure indicates that you've done everything she had joked about over the years. He has made progress, but so far in their marriage, which presented a problem for her, was not non-negotiable, to be clear. Michelle also shared memories of their Malia and Sasha, daughters, and how they thought that life one was humorous in public. She related a reminiscence of the yearly turkey pardon ritual at the house. Although most individuals consider it to be enjoyable, and teenage Malia and her joyful tradition, Sasha thought it was adorable. In their youth, but as they grew older, as evidenced by their faces in the shots are trying to pierce my eyeballs. Please just get me out of here now. My father and I are standing there telling these pupils foolish jokes close to a Michelle remembered painting a turkey, striking image of their adolescent disgrace. Outside of family life, Michelle talked candidly about some personal peculiarities she unexpectedly falls in love with. The aroma of pinia transports her, reminding her of her early years. She grew up in the newly cleaned apartment. She even provided the cleaning solution up in a shout-out during the reading of an advertisement demonstrating how deeply rooted those sentimental memories are, yet another unforeseen. Disclosing Michelle's interest in astrology, she acknowledged being a Capricorn in passing on IMO's debut episode, but subsequently went into further detail about how he knew her. Her zodiac sign has aided with her comprehension. It's fair to set her better limits, but I believe it begins with being aware of who I want to be. she stated that internal honesty must come first. I believe we both, most likely, Capricorns were a bit more, being truthful about our desires and identities. Michelle Obama via her podcast offers a genuine look into the marriage's subtleties, demonstrating that even after 30 years, little things still count. Apart from humorous times, she also talked on some difficult times when Barack Obama initially stated his intention to compete in Michelle Obama's. The initial response wasn't one of excitement, was doubt that she believed the concept was insane and wasn't on board right away. The idea of subjecting their loved ones to the constant examination of national politics, the arduous electoral process, and the unavoidable personal sacrifices experienced. Michelle finds their lives to be overwhelming, was cozy and had been constructed in Chicago. Why risk everything when it's steady and fulfilling? On her podcast, in an open moment, Michelle described how her brother Craig Robinson was a key player. In changing her viewpoint, she acknowledged that I incapable of spending 8 years in the White House, sans my older brother Craig, who was consistently dependable source of direction in her life, was beneficial. He reminded her of the wider perspective, Barack's strong sense of purpose, and his conviction that genuine change may be made. Michelle was still worried about more than simply regarding the demanding nature of the campaign, but especially regarding the influence on Malia, their 2 young daughters, and the 2008 campaign was cruel, Sasha. Barack ran on a platform of optimism and shift, but in the background, Michelle was coping with a severe. She was examined in a wave of criticism for everything, including her facial manifestations of her style, choices. Critics even characterized her as angry, who objected to her openness. There was a lot of strain, but Michelle refused to be defined by the negativity. Rather, she embraced her genuineness, prioritizing her duty as a mother and a spouse in politics. Second, even after Michelle Barack's stunning victory, wasn't entirely comfortable with the changeover arrived. At the White House, with its own series of difficulties, all of a sudden they were under an unprecedented microscope. Simple family vacations needed a lot of safety, and the lives of their daughters became the focus of incessant media coverage. Speculating about the presidency's weight wasn't solely on Barack's back, it was on hers as well. The demands of the president could have easily dragged them separate, but they made a deliberate attempt to frequently interact, setting aside time for romantic evenings in spite of their demanding. Timetables don't represent those years. Michelle acknowledges that although she originally refused to accept Barack's candidacy, she eventually discovered a reason for traveling. She changed her skepticism to growing to be one of his most ardent supporters following the disclosure of these personal challenges when the time came to discuss divorce. But rather than discussing her own marriage, Michelle first moved the concentrate on her brother's separation. Everyone is interested and wants more dots. Michelle Obama has consistently expressed a strong, enduring relationship with her older brother, Craig. Robinson and he grew up together, helping one another through the highs and lows of life and downs. But after Craig's experience among the most challenging times of his life after his first wife's divorce, Michelle Janice Robinson was abandoned in the gloomy. In their new show's premiere, Michelle revealed on the podcast how she seemed taken aback when she eventually discovered that her brother's union had disintegrated for years, that she had overlooked the warning indicators without understanding that Craig was suffering in silence. Acknowledged that she had a feeling, was wrong, yet she disregarded her intuition. When Craig maintained that all was well. Craig, now 62, came out and said that he'd purposefully kept the separation concealed from Michelle, their mother, and the remainder of their family, which is why he was aware of Michelle's profound concern, and he was worried about her reaction because I knew when my sister Craig came clean, I believed she would never be able to move on if I told her. If Janice and I are able to reconcile, my first wife wouldn't benefit from it. Michelle was shocked to hear this, had always held the conviction that whatever Craig would visit her first, if something happened. Discovering that he has encountered such she was badly hurt by the traumatic event alone. I was furious when she acknowledged that Craig was the one I relied on the most, could share anything with him. But when he was managing one of the most difficult situations, he never felt like he could in his life. Tell me that she remembered the times when she got a feeling that something wasn't right. Looking back, she disregarded the warning signs, discovered she had inquired about his well-being, doing numerous times, and each time used the same phrases to reassure her. It's excellent that she now understands. Craig acknowledged that it had been a falsehood. Concealing his divorce had been error at the time. He believed he was defending Michelle and himself. But in actuality, it had merely produced distance. Do Michelle Karma and them ever get along? His protective sister informed him that no, regardless of how challenging the circumstances are, she would have supported him even if you believed that I couldn't manage it. But I would. I've gathered myself, she said, would have offered you wise counsel and remained impartial in the end. Craig remarried in 2006 and fell in love once more with Kelly McCrum, even though he has primarily avoided bringing his private life into the spotlight. After this episode of the podcast provided listeners with a unique look into a genuine moment of vulnerability between the Michelle's experience with her siblings, was a distressing reminder that even the most relationships may contain unnoticed flaws, and Craig learned a valuable lesson from that, pledged to never do it again. Just as the discussion veered seriously toward, everyone leaned in expecting a divorce. Michelle will at last speak out about the circulating gossip regarding her personal marriage. Throughout the conversation, she admitted that gossip and hearsay had swarmed about their family all the time. From untrue statements regarding Barack's origin of uncertainties regarding their education and patriotism, but one rumor. The rumors never seemed to go away, that she was going to a place with divorce, rather than confirming it immediately, or refuting the rumors. Michelle decided to consider how she and her family has adapted to deal with people who are constantly under the public inspection. Ask Barack and me how we managed to stay optimistic not only for the 8 years in beyond the White House, she said, because there was a lot, let me tell you, of bad energy swinging in our direction, lots of gossip and stories about here, outlined how they made a deliberate choice to turn off the noise is crucial. Guideline must keep a safe distance from the comment social media sector. I don't believe I've ever glanced at a comment before. She disclosed that it was a section period. Lesson that she and Barack taught their Malia and Sasha, daughters, are aware that the internet may be a harsh environment. Michelle's method of ignoring criticism aroused interest. Was this her method of ignoring the reports of a divorce without addressing them directly? The audience hoped she would at last make things clear, but rather, she highlighted the significance of remaining rooted in family values and maintaining the privacy of personal concerns by choosing not to confront the rumors directly. Michelle took more with her after leaving the auditorium, more queries than responses, as she assured those listening of the strength of her union via her contemplations. She never specifically rejected the, however, supposition does not comma this past. The previous president's Valentine's Day celebration demonstrated that the marriage was still intact, sharing a heartfelt homage to his 32-year-old wife of over 30 years together. And you continue to make me gasp, away. He shared a joyful message on X. A couple's portrait punctuates her quiet. It was strong during the podcast. Somewhat cleared the air, however. People were still interested in knowing the truth. From Michelle, Obama's own wordspath through marriage and family life has given her some priceless lessons. She posted a lot of them on her IMO. Apparently, one of the most important things she discovered that love is insufficient on its own to uphold a marriage. Vow patience and communication are equally important. Crucial, she freely acknowledged that she had moments when she battled in her friendship with Barack in particular throughout his demanding political career, but they labor rather than leaving. Through their problems, by setting priorities, having candid discussions and pursuing therapy, when she required a crucial lesson, it is stressed that relationships change with time. She discovered that challenging times don't indicate failure, but instead They test and enhance a couple's relationship. In her opinion, that anticipating continuous excellence in a marriage is not feasible, and that long-term dedication necessitates both. Partners should adjust and develop together. Finally, Michelle embraces and believes Alta if they're remaining together or as she leaves. She urges people to decide based on what is actually contributes to their contentment and health. Because of her experiences, she has observed that tenacity, integrity, and emotional development is the real indicator of a solid relationship that goes beyond simply remaining at all costs. As the conversation concluded, Michelle reaffirmed the justification for starting her program. With everything that's happening in the world, where everyone's searching for solutions and individuals, she turned to say, Craig and I made this area for open dialogue, pose challenging queries, and look for methods to continue to advance via her podcast. Michelle wants to motivate more deeply. Discussions regarding dedication to love and long-term relationships realities. And she then departed from the audience. Was her silence a calculated ploy to hang her, to end conjecture, or did it make a suggestion? The enigma still stands at something more.